Hey everyone, got another layout update today. So what is this? I think this is number 5. Been a little bit, a couple weeks, but I have made some good progress as we see here. So real quick, switch machines, I talked about those in the last episode. I'm going to make those a dedicated video. I've made some progress in terms of how I'm going to wire those up and have the switches on the front panel there, but I'll save that for a separate episode. Biggest change is this here. So this facility is going to be my PBS Knollwood Chemical facility on the layout, and this is basically the concrete pad that I put down that the facility is going to live on. So it's going to be a big facility, a little bit bigger than I actually expected, but I'm glad because this will be kind of really the centerpiece of the layout. It's going to be the only full facility on layout. Most of the other facilities will be, off layout, just with the facade of the building here on the backdrop. You'll see that cars will unload to and stuff like that. But this one will be neat because it is completely on the layout. So this is all just drywall compound that I put down here. And what I did is I 3D printed just some black rectangle strips, basically, that are the exact height of the rails right here. And the purpose of that is I kind of framed in the whole box around where I was going to have this this pad, so that when I put it down and I put my trowel with the mud across, I had something to between the rails and the edge of this and that plastic. I had something smooth to kind of go about to keep it all level, which worked pretty well. I still ended up doing about 3 layers on this to get everything exactly level and flat, but I think it turned out really, really well. So I was really happy with that. Now the cuts for the rails, for the flanges, for the wheels, that was a little bit more work than I actually expected. I wasn't sure how I was going to do that. I had some ideas. What I ended up doing was just using a X-Acto knife, or in this case, what is it? A Pro Edge. I've had this forever. It's my favorite knife. Anyway, it's really dull, so it's not going to cut me out. If you're going to do this, don't do it with a sharp knife. But essentially, I used it and just kind of scraped right along the rail there, over and over again. Basically cutting this nice groove into the drywall compound. And I know the white's kind of blowing it out there, but it turned out really nice. The actual grooves are really smooth and look really, really well. It's a couple little mistakes, but overall I'm really happy with it. And just testing it, putting some cars through, it works really, really well. The trick of this too, as I was doing it, is you have to sand this a lot to make sure the rail is higher than any of the compound on either side of it. Because for some of the wheels on these cars, they're a little bit wider where they hang over this Code 83 track. You want to make sure it doesn't ride up onto the actual drywall compound. It stays on the rail, so you got good conductivity, and everything works happily, basically. So I did run locomotives through here, and everything's good on both tracks, so happy with that, and I can actually start painting it at this point, which will be good. So, and that's kind of one of the next big steps I'm going to be working on here is scenery, finally, which I'm actually kind of looking forward to. So, along with scenery, buildings. I want to talk about buildings quick. So, I went through all my old buildings, and I've got a bunch of these old Pike Stuff buildings that I bought, again, like 10 years ago, that I really, really like these buildings. They're these typical corrugated steel buildings that you basically see all over the United States. And these kits, I remember, weren't very expensive. I don't remember the exact price, but they were inexpensive enough where I bought like 6 or 7 of them or something like that. And I've actually got one here that I built a while back that I will use in this layout. This will sit, sorry for the shakiness, this will sit right back over here. And this will be part of the unloading facility for all the tank cars that come in here. I'm going to build a small foundation. I'll probably 3D print that just so it's not sitting right on this, but there'll be a little concrete kind of foundation that goes around it. And this will be part of that. Then outside the facility, there'll be a bunch of storage tanks and stuff like that are linked into here, and then additional storage tanks, all sorts of stuff. I'm going to do a video on the prototype for this facility. It's a really good facility here in southeastern Michigan that I think will model very well with the space that I got planned out here. So anyway, back to these. Outside of the buildings, I've got all these other ones here, but I don't think I'm going to use anymore because I don't want the buildings, this layout, to look the same. Even if I paint them different and kit bash them a little bit, do different things, I don't want them to all look the same. So that said, this was on sale at Walthers for like $40 or something like that, so I bought it. Now this facility is absolutely enormous. I can't remember the exact dimensions. Right here, yeah, 19 inches by 12, so it's big. And I'm not going to actually build this for the facility. I bought it because on the back here it's got the loading docks, the rail loading docks on one side of it. And there's actually another one on the other side. I can't remember exactly, but I'm going to use this. I'm going to kit bash this. I'm going to use this section here along with some other pieces of it to go along for this facility that sits back here at the back of the layout. And because I need about 2.5 feet or so of building right here structure for this, so that'll work really nicely for that, which will be good. And then this was also on sale. Actually, I think I got this on Amazon. It's like $10 or something. But again, just a loading platform for tank cars. So this will sit within that PBS chemical facility. The picture is actually misleading. If you look at the diagram or whatever, it's actually half of this. Even though it shows you, it looks like it's a full thing. So if I want this to be as long as it shows in the picture, you got to buy 2 of them. So kind of a gotcha there. But I don't know. I'll see how big it is and how it lines up, and if I need to get more of it, I'll build another one there. But that'll be a cool feature to that chemical facility as well. So I like that. But anyway, that's kind of where I'm at right now. Like I said, I need to paint this and continue working on this, and then ballast. I'm going to be ballasting everything. I bought the ballast. I got to start really working on that. Not looking forward to that, but it is what it is. And that's really all. So as I started looking at scenery too, I kind of reminded myself and asked myself the question why I didn't use a foam base on this instead of just going to plywood. And I don't know. I thought about it a little bit more. I mean, it's too late at this point for me to add foam. Obviously, I don't want to do everything over and all again. But there's pros and cons to both. And my logic at the time for not using the foam was a couple things. Primarily, one was the switch machines. I had these back then and I knew I was going to use them. And when you need to put this through additional, 1/2 inch, 3/4 inch of foam plus the actual 1/2 inch plywood layout, you got to extend this wire out to the switches, and it just gets a little bit more dicey trying to get the automatic switch machines underneath the layout to go through all that foam. So that was one of the contributing reasons. Another one was just here in Michigan, at least the area I'm in, is pretty flat. It's not like we have a lot of terrain. So for the size of this layout and the fact that it was just going to all be flat, it really wasn't a big concerning issue for me. So I just left it flat. And wasn't really worried about having to dig down into the foam for different terrain and stuff. I can always add more on top, and I plan to. It's not going to be perfectly flat. I've got some foam that I've been playing with for certain areas. I'm going to trim down just to have some little, make it look like in certain areas the ground was a little bit higher, and they had to cut down the track to get it certain levels and stuff. So I'll do a little bit of just different terrain to make sure it's not perfectly flat, but just gentle changes in elevation, basically. So that'll be happening next. And then just kind of been updating rolling stock and getting some cars and stuff like that. This was a ENC Shops kit car that I bought. It was on eBay. It was like, I think I paid $12 or $14 for it or something. But the ENC Shop cars are really, really nice for the price, especially when we can get them now used. These guys aren't around anymore. But I've always really, really liked their cars. So at the time they were, fairly well detailed. I mean, granted, they don't stand up to some of your more modern, Athearn Genesis and stuff like that cars today, but they're also not $50, with shipping. I think I paid $16 for this or something. So I was pretty happy with that. But yeah, so I got a few more cars. Been getting some tank cars as well for this facility. I've got another DCC decoder coming for another locomotive, and that's it. So more videos to come. Just been trying to work on stuff here. So anyway, hopefully this is interesting. Thank you for watching.